Greetings and salutations everyone, Crimson Nero here, and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy. In the last episode, we learned Lufinian, and made proper use of the Warp Cube that we got, as well as the Rosetta Stone, and made our way up the Mirage Tower inside of the desert. And now, we are in the Flying Fortress! So, let's explore this Flying Fortress. So, I know in the past that I mentioned that Mount Gulg is probably the easiest of the 4 Elemental Fiends dungeons. While I still stand by that, I will say that once you actually get to the Flying Fortress proper, things are kind of straightforward. Actually, they're pretty straightforward, honestly. A lot of the floors kind of just arc off into paths going to the north, south, east, and west. I mean, there's a little bit of treasure every once in a while, but typically you're just kind of going around and just ascending. That's basically what you really need to focus on. Most of the enemies are pretty much what you fought in the Mirage Tower for the most part. A few additions or omissions every once in a while, but generally it's the same for the most part, kind of. However, there is one enemy, one very specific enemy that only shows up here in the fortress, in the Flying Fortress, and that enemy is it's a very rare encounter, so we probably won't see it, but there is still a chance. And it's kind of a tough customer. It's known as Warmech. And Warmech is kind of an unofficial super boss, kind of. So, yeah, hopefully we don't have to deal with them, but if we did, well, let's just hope that I'm strong enough. Hey, they actually got the name of the enemy right. These are actual manticores instead of the sphinxes from earlier. Well, it's like sphinxes only really have like the body of a lion but the face of a person, as we've seen with ancient Egyptian sphinxes. But those that we just saw, those were some proper looking manticores, considering the body of a lion, the tail of a scorpion, and the wings of a bat. Alright, bye Naga. Hey, level up! And more Naga! Yeah, Nagas can actually have kind of different looking appearances, but for the most part, a lot of the time you see them, they have kind of a serpent-like body and a human face. Sometimes you see a serpentine kind of lower half, but the upper half is basically the torso, arms, and head of a person. It really just depends on whatever type of interpretation people want to go with. Yeah, there's so many different ways that you can imagine and interpret different monster designs, as I mentioned very briefly when we were starting up the Citadel of Trials. Yeah, there's so many ways that you can design and redesign various creatures and beings from either mythology or different folklore or creation myths or anything really. A Death Knight! Wait a minute! You should be over in World of Warcraft. That's where the Lich King is. I actually played, when I played World of Warcraft, I actually played a Death Knight. It was cool. Literally, because Death Knights have access to a lot of ice-based attacks. I'm pretty sure I went with a DPS build for my Death Knight. Was that ice, or did I go blood? I can't even remember. There was what, unholy, frost, and blood? Were those the three archetypes? It's been a while. It's been a while since I played WoW. I'm much more. I am as much fun as I had with WoW. I definitely enjoyed Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14 a bit more, actually a lot more, honestly. But hey, that's just my that's just my preference. I'm not saying that WoW is a bad game, because some of the more recent expansions have been absolutely fantastic from what a lot of people have been saying and from what I've played. But overall, just the overall kind of aesthetics and world building and a few other choices that I prefer Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14. But hey, I've had experiences with several different MMOs of various types. Man, who would have thought that evil eyes, you know, basically things that are kind of like beholders, were actually fairly easy to defeat in this game. Considering how hard beholders can actually be. Sometimes they're known as gazers, sometimes they're actually just called beholders. There's the whole joke about the eye of the beholder. I'm trying to think of how many times I've been called gazers. Specifically, I'm talking about, I definitely know that they were called gazer, that there was a beholder-type enemy called a gazer in, Dragon's Crown, which is like which is a 2D fantasy-inspired 2D beat 'em up that was made by Vanillaware, and that game is a lot of fun to play with friends. It actually kind of harkens back to the Dungeons and Dragons arcade games that Capcom made. Those beat 'em ups are awesome. I mean, hey, Capcom knew how to make some really good games based on pre-existing licenses. I mean, heck, look at the different fighting games that got made revolving around Marvel characters, and also just the entirety of the Marvel vs. Capcom versus franchise. Also, they made there was also the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fighting game that they made. There was DuckTales on the NES. That was really good. There was a Chip and Dale game. Actually, I think there were 2 DuckTales games and 2 Chip and Dale games. Yeah, Capcom definitely knew how to make some good licensed games back in the day. It's nice to see Jacqueline and Cyrus be able to do respectable physical damage instead of just having to rely on their spells. But then again, I kind of want to save a bit of my spell usage because, hey, obviously we got a boss to fight at the end of this, so I want to reserve my my magic just a little bit. And hey, level up. And I'm still level 38. But not for long! It's just the running gag. I mean, man, when... I know that I have fallen in battles several times. It's just a matter of when were the times where it mattered the most in terms of how much experience I was getting compared to everybody else. I'm trying to think. I know I definitely, during the Astos fight, I got hit by death. So that was like 2,000 experience down the drain. And then, let's see. Do fights where you're, where you get hit by petrification, do those count at all towards your XP? I think it does. I don't know. And there's my level. Poison be gone! Diamond shield, and a ribbon! Yes! Good. I need more ribbons. I can't remember if there's 3 ribbons or 4 ribbons in this game. A black robe and a white robe! These are like the best armor, and these two are like the best armor for white mages and black mages respectively. Oh, that's why I couldn't find the ribbon, because I was going into the armor, not the helmet. Yeah, because I can take the most amount of damage, I'm fine with getting hit by various status ailments. I want to make sure that other people are okay. Sometimes you gotta be selfless. Sometimes you need to worry about other people before you worry about yourself. You know, I would really like to find out what that thing is, but if the evil eye here wants to just get in my way, I guess that works too! Nah, I'm just kidding. That was like one hit. No big deal. And we have obtained Adamantite! Which, similar to Vibranium, is pretty much the strongest element in the universe. Well, at least in Final Fantasy, there is no Vibranium. But Adamantite. Some good stuff. And while it's only just a hunk of unrefined ore at the moment, soon, we're gonna get something especially fun. Hello. From this observation window, you can look out on the entire world. Well, that sounds pretty interesting. Let's take a look. You know, when you mentioned the looking out at the entire world, I wasn't anticipating the entire world of an enemy encounter! Nah, I'm just kidding. You know, when you get to that pivotal scene in Disney's Aladdin, and Jasmine and Aladdin are on the magic carpet, and Aladdin's showing Jasmine the wonders of life outside the palace. You know, when he says, "I can show you the world," I wasn't expecting a world full of Medusas and Rakshasas and all types of monsters. Like, that's not what I was expecting, dude. The observation window looks out upon the world. The four forces of fire, earth, water, and wind appear as a mist converging on a single point. A point at the center of the four altars. This must be the location of the Chaos Shrine! What?! And so the plot thickens. Yes, the four different elemental, the four different, elemental fiend dungeons are basically in the four corners of the world, and the central point is the Chaos Shrine, which we've already been to, so I don't know why. Wait a minute. Hold on. You're telling me that Final Fantasy starts and ends in the same basic place? Oh my gosh, it's like a whole loop that just went back on itself. Oh my gosh, this is groundbreaking. I mean, I'm sure that other games around the time of the inception of Final Fantasy also kind of started and ended in the generally same place. I mean, heck, when you play Dragon Quest 1, as soon as you go out of, like, as soon as you walk outside of one of the first places you can even access, you can see the main villain's castle just right there, looming off in the distance, but you won't be getting to it until much later in the game. It's like you can always see it, but it's just there, staring at you, menacingly. It's kind of like the moon in Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. How you can always see the moon just looming, just looking down at you, and you know that is that dealing with that is like the main goal of the entire game. But there are so many things you need to do in order to prevent the moon from falling. But still, I really like when things in the first act of a story work themselves around to being also very important in the third act of the game, of the story. That's I like that full circle bit, which is actually pretty much the entirety of the hero's journey storytelling methodology in a nutshell. Like you start out being just inexperienced, you don't know what's going on, you're shown a new world basically, and you have this opportunity to go far and beyond what you're normally used to, but you deny it. But then eventually you get on, you go along with it, you break out of normality of what you're used to, and you go off into the dangers that are ahead, and through trials and tribulations, meeting new people who would help you and harm you, and then you grow as an individual, that there's a transformation, there's good times, there's bad times, and eventually the hero comes back, fulfills whatever they need to do, and eventually becomes the hero after a great amount is lost and gained and a transformation has gone on. And then when they return, they're shown as being a changed person, that something has gone on in their life to make them a different person and to make them stronger, typically. I mean, we can see that in things like Star Wars. I mean, heck, Luke Skywalker's journey throughout Episode 4 is the hero's journey in a nutshell. And the hero's journey is also prevalently seen when it comes to the fool's journey, which is used in tarot card reading. You start out as a fool, and eventually you make your way to different stages of the 22 tarot cards, and eventually you come back and you witness the world itself. You find yourself being so much more than what you once were at the beginning of your journey. And the thing is that these types of journeys happen all the time. You start out as being inexperienced in whatever new situation you find yourself in. And with time and practice and new experiences, you get better and you become someone who's a lot more experienced and dynamic with whatever the new thing you were trying to tackle is, whether it's trying to learn a new skill, or whether it's going to a new place, or meeting new people, or whatever type of challenge you're trying to overcome. You can you start out as a beginner and then make your way up to being much more experienced, and then once that journey is done, you just start a new journey. It's great. It's always a matter of you're always learning. They say that life itself is the greatest of teachers and the greatest classroom you will ever be in, because we're technically always students, regardless of if we finished up school or not. Once you get into like the working world, you're going to be new somewhere. You're going to be at the bottom of the ladder, but eventually you're going to work your way up again. And then once you realize, hey, maybe I'll move on to something different. Once again, you're going to be at the beginning of the journey. You're going to be the beginner. You're not going to be quite as experienced, and you're going to be unfamiliar with how certain things work in certain places and with certain people. But eventually, things work out, and you become much more experienced, and you go on these journeys and become a better person. So that's kind of what happens when those storytelling bits all kind of circle back in on themselves. Anyways, the Lich, Maralith, and the Kraken. You have defeated 3 fiends and reached my lofty perch. Behold the power of green! Whoa, that's a 6-headed dragon. More the better. May the image of Tiamat, Fiend of the Wind, be the last thing to burn into your eyes. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Boss time against Tiamat! Tiamat is one of the strongest beings in Dungeons & Dragons. She is like the evil counterpart to the just and goodness and light that is Bahamut. Tiamat is normally seen as a 5-headed dragon, with each head being red, green, blue, white, and black, respectively, to go along with the different colors of the chromatic dragons, the dragons that she rules over. She's like the ancestor of all chromatic dragons, and even dragonborn, technically, depending on how you look at things. She is one of the absolute strongest beings in all of Dungeons & Dragons, so of course, she would be seen as the last of the elemental fiends that you fight in Final Fantasy I. I mean, yes, she does have 6 heads here, but there's many reasons why they probably went with 6 heads. I mean, there's like the idea of like numerology and like numbers meaning different things, and just, I mean, hey, I don't know what they were thinking of when they were coming up with this game, but hey, it's some good stuff. Plus, like, it's Tiamat. You get to fight a 6-headed dragon. It's kind of like a Hydra, kinda, but different. But yeah, Tiamat is strong no matter where you find her in any type of game. Dungeons & Dragons, Final Fantasy, she's a tough cookie. But hopefully we will be able to defeat her I mean, hey, if I'm doing over 1,000 damage with a single sword strike, then that's some pretty good stuff. Yeah, Final Fantasy can actually be pretty tough if you aren't utilizing Saber and... Saber, Temper, and Haste. If you aren't stacking those on a really high damaging character, then you're not going to be doing that much damage, honestly. Let's see if Slow does anything. Yeah, I thought as much. Ice Storm! Uh-oh. Whoa! That was a lot of damage. Hey! Nice! Alright, and we have defeated Tiamat! Now let's restore light to the Wind Crystal. Look at that nice emerald green. Huzzah! And of course, much like with the other elemental fiends, when we defeat them, we access a brand new bonus dungeon. But we're not going to deal with that, because where we have to go now is to the Chaos Shrine once again. But man, look at those 4 crystals that are on the side of the menu. They're all pretty and full of light. It's great. And yes, we can actually still run into encounters here, so there is still the possibility that we might actually run into Warmac. Who knows? Man, we need to heal. Wow, I did not realize that that Sam's HP has been growing that quickly. Because, like, he only had, like, his HP was only, like, in the 300s around the time that we actually got the promotion, when he got his promotion to Ninja. So I guess he's been getting some really high-level, HP growths as of late. Well, no Warmac. Oh well. Alright, let's get back to the airship. Hopefully we won't run into many encounters. Oh, really? I just had to say something. I just had to open up my big mouth. Oh, hey, just regular burritos. Instead of desert burritos, they're just regular burritos. Yeah, I like my burritos with a little less sand in them. Okay, check me out using healing spells. Nice! I got your back, Jacqueline. Alright, and we're off! Let's see... I want to actually get the magic from Lufinia, because now that we're level 40, now Jacqueline and Cyrus have access to every single white and black magic spell in the game. Yeah, now that we've defeated the 4 elemental fiends and there's only one more dungeon to go, we need to prepare ourselves. Man, I always get so turned around when it comes to this game's world map sometimes. There we go. Well, here's Gaia. So let's stock up on our level 7 spells. Let's see. You have both of those, Cyrus. Where's the other black magic shop? Well, at the very least, we should at least rest at the inn first, because... Oh my god! How?! How do we have this much money?! Oh my goodness. So much money. We, like, doubled the amount of money we had. We had, like, 300,000 or whatever number it was. What, 3 million? I wasn't paying attention, but, like, we basically just doubled that in the time that we spent in the Mirage Tower and in the Flying Fortress. That's the church. I want to find a magic shop, darn it. Are there only 2 level 7 spells? No, that shouldn't be right. Whatever, I'll deal with it next time. So, that's it for that is it for this episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy. In the next episode, we are going to be, probably getting ready to go deal with the Chaos Shrine once again. Curious. But, that's for next time. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy. I'm Crimson Nero, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, everyone, fare thee well.